Hello and welcome to Calls. This is the 2022 Mayakoba Initial Research Show. Before we get into that, I have been teasing some exciting news and so forth. So the major announcement is that this is now my full-time career. I don't have a teleprompter, so mind me that I had to put some notes down and such, so I covered everything that I want to. But this being my full-time career now is in large part thanks to you all for watching, for commenting, for supporting the channel, supporting the content that I provide. This is fulfilling kind of a dream of mine to be able to cover sports and gambling and such, and to connect with other people of the who share the same interests. So again, this is a lot of, in large part to you all, and I can't thank you enough for the support. And I am excited to announce that this is, I no longer have a traditional 9-to-5. This is now my full-time career. And with that, what this means for you all is that there's going to be more content on the channel. And also, there's going to be better analysis. Hopefully, that I can spend more time doing this, provide us with a better chance to hit some winners and to make some good money, because that's what we're here for. If you aren't a subscriber, I consider that you do so, because now this is my full-time career, my full-time job now. There will be exclusive content for my subscribers as a means to show my thanks for all the support that I've gotten. So if you are a subscriber, one of the biggest things that I'm thinking about implementing, or I know I'll be implementing, is a kind of a form of a tournament fact sheet. This will be, kind of my best bets, sportsbook wagers, my top DFS, plays and strategies for the week. So again, if you aren't a subscriber, consider doing so. I really think you're going to like the information that I provide, and this is going to be exclusive to my subscribers in a more detailed fashion. But to get this exclusive content, if you're already a subscriber, or if you subscribe tonight, email me at the address below in the description. There, now you can see it. Email me in the description, or email the address in the description, and confirm, follow the steps there, but confirm your YouTube or handle, channel name and such, and then reach out to me in that email, and that's going to be adding you to the distribution list where I will be providing this exclusive content and such. So you're not going to want to miss out. And again, as subscribers, that I try to provide the best analysis that I can. It's been somewhat successful, and now with this being a full-time career, a job, it's going to get a lot better. I can tell you that much now that I can devote full resources to it. Speaking of the comment or the descriptions, all of my social media is in the description as well. Give me a follow there. This is where I post my betting cards for the week, any interesting tidbits of information that I find during my research, and that's probably going to now move to the subscription newsletter, for lack of better terms. So make sure you give me some follows there, especially if you want to know what my betting cards are for the week, and as well as a kind of a tentative schedule for when I am live. Then chat is open tonight, as it always is. I want to know how you all did this week. How much of an idiot I am for making this a full-time career. But again, I just want to interact with you all, or even if you're onto Mayakoba, what you're thinking about. So would love the interaction. Reach out to me in chat as we go along tonight. And then lastly, as always, statistics provided by fantasynational.com. It's an amazing resource. It makes morons like me think they can do this for a living. But again, before I get into the meat and potatoes of the show, I can't thank you all enough for the support and allowing me to pursue a dream in doing this as a full-time job, as a career. So heartfelt thanks. With all of that gooey shit and all that out of the way, let's look into our initial research of the 2022 Mayakoba. And we're going to start a little bit different tonight. There we go. Cameras in focus. Let me pull up chat here real quick. Make sure that's going. We're going to start with the course breakdown. And that is because you can see here that it is a bit confusing, a bit messy. We are in Cancun, Mexico, at El Camaleon Golf Club. Give me a second to get my drink. The front nine has played a couple of different ways over the years. This tournament has had several different sponsors, different names over the year, but in some way, form, or fashion, it has been known as the Mayakoba for as long as I can remember. Now, this year it is the Worldwide Technology Mayakoba Golf Classic or something. It's been known as the OHL, simply the Mayakoba, but it has always been here at El Camaleon in Cancun, Mexico. The problem is, as you can see, the front nine has changed some through the years, and you have different variations here in this front nine. Now, holes 9 through 18 have consistently been the same. So we'll get into this here in a little bit. I wanted to show it to you that way, you'll forgive me as it gets a little bit confusing. But what I am going to do, I'm going to bring up Pro Visualizer. And you can see here, I know it's a bit zoomed out. I apologize. I can't encapsulate the entire golf course if I zoom in too much. That's a little better. Maybe there. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's cutting off this little par 3 here, but this is an overhead look of El Camaleon. You can see that there are portions that seem like they're pretty narrow, tree-lined fairways and such. Some places that look like they're pretty wide open. 18, for example, 13. But there is no water on the course. It doesn't come into play a whole lot. We'll go through each hole very quickly, but there's kind of this creek that meanders along the course. For example, hole 14, you basically have to lay up before the creek, or if you want to get very, very aggressive, you can try to carry the creek, but that's a monster drive to do so. 15 here, par 3 with water on the short left, par 3 here on the front nine. I think that's hole 4. You have to tee off over water. This creek kind of meanders throughout the course. 10 has some trouble if you go long and left, but we'll go through a quick hole by hole view here. But I just wanted to give you an overhead look at El Camaleon, some base observations from an aerial view. Hole 1, straightaway par 4, nothing to it. Hole 2, kind of a forced layup, par 4. Hole 3, this is one of the holes that water can come into play. It's a forced layup, tee shot to over water. That a bunker protects short, but if you really mishit your iron, you're in the water here. So, I'll call that one hole that water's in play on, but it shouldn't be for a lot of the professionals. Here's hole 4. I mentioned this one would tee off over water. It actually doesn't. The water is kind of next to the tee box. And it's a very short par 3, 117 yards. Hole 5, This hole has, water in play if you're left off the tee, left on your approach. So there's 2 holes there that have water in play. 6, it's all along the right side. 3 holes with water in play. 8's a par 5, nothing in trouble there. 7, excuse me. 7's par 5, nothing in trouble. 8, par 3, no trouble. 9, same way. And then, so the first 8 holes is what we'll really look at. What we'll really examine, because that's the most complicated part of the Fantasy National course breakdown. But I'm going to go through this again just kind of real quick. So we've had 3 holes. 10, I guess you can say, has water in play here if you're pretty wayward right. So maybe I would say 3.5. We'll call it 4. 11, the tee ball shouldn't end up here. Now, if I were playing, that water would come into play, but not for the professionals. We still only have 4 holes with water in play. 12, no. 13, maybe if they're really trying to get aggressive, maybe this comes into play. I just don't think it does. So I'm still going to just call it 4. I'll say 5 here. This says it's a 285-yard, drive or lay up to here. If somebody wants to get really aggressive, they can try to carry this creek. I don't know what the benefits of that would be, considering, you're left with about 162, at least it says, from here. Maybe you're left with a wedge here. A flip wedge. I don't know that there's any strategical value in trying to carry this creek here, but I'll say it's in play. So it's 5. There's 5 holes. Again, par 3 with water not in play really. 16, sure, we'll say that water's in play here if you're wayward right. So 6 holes, I guess, here, mainly on the drive if you really just hit a really poor tee shot. And then the last hole with water in play is definitely 17. Water all along the left, and it comes very close to the green. So this is one of the more demanding approach shots. So 7 holes with water in play. Again, I'm going to come back to hole 1. We're gonna go to the course breakdown on Fantasy National. Actually, I take that back. Let's go to all and apologize. Let's see if I can get back to the overview. Nope, that's not it. There's the grid. There. Basically, I'm going to have to go off memory here. The Pro Visualizer sets this at a par 72 at about 7,000 yards. A little bit over 7,000 if memory serves. So it's, again, another short course, par 72. We are on Paspalum greens. There is no tournament fact sheet, as this is overseas, or considered, international. It's not overseas, but international. So there's no tournament fact sheet. And I'll check that very quickly here, just to make sure. Yeah, last one was the CJ Cup. So no tournament fact sheet. Hole number 1 is, and again, I apologize, this is going to kind of go back and forth. Hole 1, 437-yard par 4. So that's this one here. Generally plays to the 5th toughest hole on the course. Not a lot of birdies and a pretty good share of bogeys on this first hole. So it can kind of jump up, bite you. I don't know anything about the greens other than that they are Paspalum. And then I know, the things about the distance of the course, and we'll look at some statistics about previous course history and such. But first hole, difficult par 4 for whatever reason. It doesn't look like it's much, but for whatever reason, it usually plays as the 5th hardest hole. Hole 2, this kind of forced layup par 4. So that is here. So back to back there. This one's a bit easier. Still plays over average. Just a bit over average, not as much as the first one. But again, nothing fancy. It's just a forced layup par 4. Then you have, again, another forced layup. I mean, it depends on how close you want to, flirt with the water here. This is saying this is 270. This is 300 here. So I imagine most guys will probably hit 3-wood or if not driver, and get as close to this fairway run out as they can. That would be here, this 389. So it plays a little bit under par. Fairly easy hole. Hole 4, the real short par 3, 116. It's not going to be the 19th easiest, but you can just see it's a very, very easy hole. Lots of birdies. I mean, 117 yards is nothing for a lot of these pros. That's a sand wedge, if not less. So not much there on that par 3. It's just hitting your yardage mark, and it doesn't look like a lot of problems either. Just a few little bunkers. Hole 5. This is a par 5 with water all along the left. So that would be this one, the 554. This one plays very, very easy. 3% eagle rate and a 45.5% birdie rate. So again, a very, very easy hole. And I say easy only because there's no reason to flirt left. I mean, if you bail out right, you still have a decent up and down chance with a lot of green to work with, up and down for a birdie. So this clearly is a pretty easy hole for professionals. You just have to miss these fairway bunkers here, and it looks like there's not a lot of trouble that would prevent you from maybe attacking this green over the sand. So yeah, looks like a pretty easy par 5. Hole 6, a long-ish par 4, at least long-ish for this course. Water all along the right. That is here. Again, plays under par. Pretty decent birdie rate for a par 4. Hole 7. This is a pretty long par 5. 554. Still easy. Not necessarily as many eagles. Less than a 1%. 36% eagle rate. 36% birdie rate. Nah, it's easy. Certainly not as easy as hole 5. That was 3% eagle rate, a lot of birdies, but still able to be taken advantage of. And then lastly, hole 8, the short par 3, 151. Pretty easy, but still. You had the extremely short one as one of the easiest. Right here, excuse me. Right there. It plays almost a quarter stroke under average. That's very rare for a par 3. Very rare. This one plays to a little bit over a 10th under par. So the real trouble on this course clearly is on the back 9. The exception of being number 1. And number 5. No, 5 is the par 5. Yeah, so the only difficult hole on the front 9 is the first hole. And then 9th through 18 are all the same, so we're not going to go keep flipping back and forth to Pro Visualizer. But the back 9 can eat you up. You got basically the 3 hardest holes on the course, and then probably the 5th hardest. 1, 2, technically this would be number 3, but it's not used. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This here is a very, very, very long par 4. You can see the bogey rate on it. It's just, it's just a very difficult par 4 that demands 2 very, very good shots. It's as simple as that. But overall, as much as some of the, this par 4 plays a decent bit over average. This par 4 plays a bit over average. All in all, though, the course is pretty easy. You certainly have to, to kind of survive this back 9 portion here. But 13, 3.5% eagle rate, birdied over half the time. Plays almost a half a stroke under par. Very easy hole. This is a drivable par 4. So you can see there the it's not necessarily eagleable all the time, but it is a drivable par 4. So that's why you see more birdies than, a ton more birdies than bogeys there. And then, let's see, there was another, see the 8th is a par 3. It's going to play fairly easy. At least it has in years past. Stroke by hole by par, we're back to what I would call somewhat a normal type distribution here. Your par 5s are going to be the most important. You got to take advantage of them. You saw here, easiest hole on the course, half a stroke under par. The other par 5, this might be a par 71 to be actually. I'm going to cheat and take a look here real quick. Yep, par 71. So there you go. It's a par 71, not 72. My apologies. But it's still just over 7,000 yards, so it's still a short course. But the par 5s, you just got to take advantage of them. The 5th here, pretty darn easy. Plays, 3 to 4 tenths under par. And then hole 7, which is 3 tenths under par. So it's par 5s, then the par 4s, then the par 3s. Generally, a lot of people are making their birdies on that very, very short par 3. So there's not a lot of strokes to be gained on those par 3s. So it's really in the tough par 4s and the par 5s. Hole composition. You have, of the par 3s, you've got one, the really, really short one at 117. You got 2, still pretty short by PGA Tour standards, in between 150, 175, and then you got a pretty long one. The par 4s are pretty well evenly distributed. You've got, I would say, the one drivable par 4 in here. It says it's 368. It plays a lot shorter than that, 360. It plays a lot shorter than that. It is truly the only drivable one, because you have one that's 386, and you have one on the front 9 here that's 389, but that one's a forced layup. Whereas the 360, where'd they go? Right here, that is pure drivable. So there's really one drivable par 4 and 2 other short par 4s, 3 medium length, 4 fairly long, and 1 extremely long, one of the toughest holes on the course. Then the par 3s, again, you have 1 in the short range, 2 in the medium length range. As you can see here, that historically this course is played easier than more difficult. But you're going to find a lot more trouble with the water and so on than you are going to find your eagles. But seeing birdies this much higher than bogeys is it designates a pretty easy course. And you see this here. I mean, this has gone back to 2010, but we're going to look, kind of 2019, maybe 2018 and forward. 2019, the cut was -3. That's very easy, and then has moved to even par the past 2 years. That's average. That's on the that's probably roughly right about tour average. So easy to average. You can see there's been times where it's played difficult, But all in all, it has been on the easier side, at least to make the cut. Driving accuracy, slightly more here than the average tour event. A lot of that is due to the forced layup design of some of the holes off the tee. Some holes you can just go for it, drive. Others you're forced to lay up. So not a lot to be gained there, at least graphically. Green regulation higher here than the average tour event. Again, I don't know much about the green sizes, now that I'm starting this full time, this is something I'll be able to do. Just haven't had the chance to this weekend, getting prepared for said full time. Scrambling percentage higher here than the tour average event. And then average 3 putts per round, a lot less than the average tour event. Again, the only thing I know about these greens is that they're past Palom, and those typically run slower. If you watched the tournament this weekend in Bermuda, you saw the pure amount of wind they had. I mean, today, sustained 40-mile-an-hour winds. And I feel, I don't know if I owe you all an apology, but I do feel a little bit sorry that I didn't focus more on the wind. Knowing how much the wind was going to play this past week, I'm kind of kicking myself, hindsight always being 2020. I'm kind of kicking myself for not factoring in wind more, because Lucas Herbert was one of the best players in the wind, and it leads to him winning. Now, is that the only reason that he won? No, and he was pretty far low, pretty far down in my ranking, so I don't even know if I would have given him a lot of consideration had I factored in more wind. But I didn't give myself nearly the opportunity I should have, thinking back on it. So hopefully you had Lucas Herbert. Hopefully you cashed in on that or had a very successful DFS week. Again, chat's open. I want to hear about it, or comment below if you're not catching this show live. There's a look at the course breakdown. Let's check the historical conditions here at El Camaleon. You can see here, with the exception of the first round last year, it has been pretty darn easy. Easy to average. I think if I'm going to lean anywhere, I'll look at easy course metrics. I'm still kind of concerned about that because, that's still factoring in a lot of these, these holes that aren't used like they are anymore. For example, this, this par 5 here is not being used as that par 5. Or maybe, yeah, it is. It's this par 5 that's not being used. See, I'm even getting confused. So, hole 1, par 4, difficult. Hole 2, par 4, somewhat difficult. Hole 3 has consistently been this par 4. Then you've got a par 3, a par 4, par 5, par 3, par 4. I think that's right. So that's why, I'm getting confused here, but when you look at these historic conditions, some of these easies are factoring in these holes that aren't being used. So that's Pro Visualizer. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to use easy metrics again. I'm certainly not going to use difficult ones. You can see how rare this course plays difficult to par. It's played, once since 2016, difficult. So it's definitely average to easy average. As I said, greens are past Palom. Hitting the fairways has been anywhere from, difficult, mainly average to difficult. A couple years last year they were easy. rough length is short. Green speed has been average, and at times it was Velcro in the past. So I would expect the same to be the case this year. And I was kind of going on that tangent at Bermuda, that those greens were running at 9.5 because of how much wind that they had. And that's typical for that tournament. And I didn't use the Velcro filter. I just didn't, and I also did not use the fast filter. And I bet you Velcro filter might have helped, considering how slow those greens were, and the amount of rain they had was going to slow it up. I mean, those greens were slow by PGA Tour standards. So again, don't know if I'm going to use Velcro, but they're definitely not fast greens, that's for sure. And then lastly, of course, is it's a very short course, very short. So we'll definitely be using that filter, those metrics there. And again, like I said, a lot of the things in Fantasy National will refer to this as the OHL. It's the Mayakoba. OHL was the sponsor for a long time, but it's the Mayakoba. Let's take a look at the tournament history here. Your defending champion is Victor Hovland. Victor Hovland, who had not historically played well here, and then comes here and wins last year. Aaron Wise. So you got a lot of the same people returning. You can see a lot of people generally either play this event or don't. Adam Long, 2 appearances, 2 top 5s. It's a pretty good record. Brendan Todd, 1 in his debut here, top 10 to last year. Justin Thomas tied for 12th. Generally speaking, a lot of guys play this event quite often if they can. You know, John Huff, for whatever reason, missed this year. Russell Knox missed in 2019. But a lot of times, there's a good bit of data here that we'll be able to parse through and look through. But your defending champion is Victor Hovland. In a strokes gained total sense, now again, this is factored in back to 2017, and we don't want to go back that far. So I'm going to go by tomorrow by the Data Dive show. I'll try to have this here for 2019, 20, and 21 only, because that's what I've been kind of looking at today, doing my initial research to the initial research. So you got Pat Perez, Grillo, Howell, Knox, and Abraham Answer. No surprise here, really. I mean, Grillo, Argentinian, so is used to the kind of the Caribbean or Central American style golf. Abraham Answer is from Mexico. Pat Perez generally plays West Coast events well. West Coast, while not direct comparisons to Caribbean, Mexican, South American type courses, they're as close as we can get in the States to it. And Pat Perez generally plays West Coast events pretty well. Carlos Ortiz, another Mexican-born player. Horschel from the South. Todd, like I said, two years, and only 2 events, and he's up this far. Ricky. And at the other end of the spectrum, I mean, you got a few guys who haven't played this event, but you know, at the other end of the spectrum, Peter Malnati, not historically good here. Keith Mitchell, Charlie Hoffman, Luke Donald, Luke List, Roberto Diaz, another Mexican-born player who just hasn't played well here. Andrew Putnam, Nick Watney, Kyle Stanley, Seamus Power, Matt Jones. So there's a look at who historically has not played this course fairly well. Let's see. I don't want to get too far into this. We're going to save a lot for the Data Dive show tomorrow, especially since I had the major announcement or the exciting news and all that at the beginning. Something I did want to share with you all, because the Fantasy National doesn't have the approach distribution for this course. like other international courses that we've seen. When we went over to Japan for the Zozo, when we were this past week at Bermuda, these international courses, we don't have data on approaches. We don't have strokes gained, approach. We don't have proximities. We don't have putting stats. So again, all I can go by is Pro Visualizer. So I went ahead and did the estimated proximity chart for you all to the best that I could. And again, Pro Visualizer does not assume going for any par 5 in 2. So all three of these here are more than likely going to be into this bucket here, because you're going to go for it in 2. I will say I'll jump back to that here in a second. So it looks like you've got a majority of your shots coming from, say, 100 to maybe 150. So there are a lot of forced layups, but again, this course just isn't all that long. So, I mean, you've got the one extremely long par 4 that requires a 200 plus yard approach shot. But other than that, if you're going for the par 5s and 2, you're going to put all of these into this bucket here. But in the par 4s, you're looking at, it looks like another wedge type course, considering it's so short. But the biggest thing is you don't have, a big plethora. You don't have, say, 8 holes where it's 150 to 175, or 6 holes where it's 125 to 150. So I don't think there's going to be much to gain trying to pinpoint a proximity range this week. But I did go through Pro Visualizer and created this to the best of my ability. Again, just using the numbers that they have. All of the 75, 0 to 75 bucket approach shots now go into that 200 plus, and they're all attackable. Without going too much into it, again, I'm going to save a lot of this for tomorrow night's data dive. I was looking around for Paspalum, and we don't have any putting statistics for Paspalum. Makes sense, because the only Paspalum greens that we have seen on tour are international. Accordia, that was the Zozo in Japan. Corrales, that's the Corrales Punta Cana. El Camaleon, where we are here. TPC Kuala Lumpur. We don't have the putting statistics for them. We don't have all the approach or anything. So all we can do is go by the strokes gained total. And I put 2 years because the most rounds, oh gosh dang it, rounds. There's 23 rounds in the past 2 years, 2 calendar years. So, Halloween 2019, which, by the way, happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you all got your favorite candy, you're filled up, and so on. But 23 rounds. So Emiliano Grillo, 23 rounds. So it goes back to the Zozo, the OHL, which is this tournament, the Mayakoba. Puerto Rico, Corrales, Mayakoba, Puerto Rico. All international. Puerto Rico, what course is that? Cocoa Beach. Okay. So that was one of the courses here of the Paspalum. So really all we can do is look at strokes gained total on Paspalum. So number 1, Carlos Ortiz, Victor Hovland won this event last year. That's what I was doing, trying to find some Paspalum statistics, and we'll get into this in the data dive. Last thing, 36 rounds last 6 months. Power, Leviota, Pereira, JT, Harold Varner. Guys that we just saw. Mito played fairly well. Lebiota just missed the cut in Bermuda. Seamus Power played fairly well. I think he was top 20. I didn't quite see how he ended his Sunday. I know he was flirting with the top 20. Patrick Rogers played very well in Bermuda. Let's see. Migliozzi was doing very well until Sunday. So there's a look at the strokes gained total. Again, no pass palum, so we can't really look at putting statistics. So we'll just take a quick look at short course. 36 rounds, so the most has been 14. Let's do 12. Actually, I lied. Let's go last 12 months. Expand it out to 36. So the last calendar year. Yeah. Tony Finau, number one in this field for strokes gained total. Then Tringali, Russell Henley, Abraham Ancer, and Billy Horschel. Round out your top 5. Kirk, Neiman, Jones, and JT round out the top 10 on short course. So, guys, I think that's going to do it for the initial research show. Sorry for my coughing bit there a little while back. But we'll get into a lot tomorrow in the Data Dive show, so make sure you tune in. Again, roughly 9 p.m. Eastern. But that's going to do it for the initial research of the Mayakoba. Hope you did well this weekend at the Bermuda. And then, like I said, comment below anything you're wanting to see tomorrow in the Data Dive. Or if you just want to rub it in my face how well you did at the Bermuda, because I didn't. For any bets that you made at the Bermuda, for any bets that you're thinking about making at the Mayakoba this week, and until I see you tomorrow night, may all your bets